I'm Sabrina Zainal, and this is Nightline. The top stories. Anwar and Lee unveil key link in Johor Bahru Singapore RTS project. And South Africa tells UN top court Israel is committing genocide in Gaza as a landmark case begins. We begin with this story. South Africa accused Israel on Thursday of subjecting Palestinians to genocidal acts. They also demanded that the UN's top court order an emergency suspension of Israel's devastating military campaign in Gaza. On the first 2 days of hearings at the International Court of Justice, ICJ, South Africa said Israel's aerial and ground offensive aimed to bring about the destruction of the population of the Palestinian enclave. Advocate of the High Court of South Africa, Thembeka Nkukaitobi, said the intent to destroy Gaza has been nurtured at the highest level of state. He said Israel's political and military leaders, including Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, were among the genocidal inciters. South Africa also accuses Israel of violating the 1948 Genocide Convention enacted in the wake of the mass murder of Jews in the Holocaust, which mandates all countries to ensure such crimes are never repeated. The African country concluded its arguments by requesting emergency measures to stop the war. The court will listen to Israel's response on Friday. It is also expected to rule on possible emergency measures later this month, but will not rule at that time on the genocide allegations, as those proceedings could take years. While the ICJ hearing was taking place, Zionist violence continued in Gaza, with bombings near Al-Aqsa Martyrs Hospital in Deir el-Balah, killing dozens of innocent civilians. According to Gaza's health ministry, a heavy strike brought down a two-story building close to the hospital, killing at least 20 people, whilst another strike killed 6 more people in an ambulance, including 4 medics. The Zionist forces also carried out 10 mass killings in the territory, causing 112 deaths and 194 injuries in the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, an attack on a civil defense center in southern Lebanon has killed 2 rescuers and destroyed an ambulance, raising the number of civilians killed in Zionist shelling on southern Lebanon to 25, including children and journalists. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim and his Singaporean counterpart, Lee Hsien Loong, on Thursday witnessed the historic moment of the Rapid Transit System RTS Link project being symbolically connected between Malaysia and Singapore. This pivotal structure involves the completion of the span, which is the meeting point of the project's marine viaduct between Johor Bahru and Singapore. This was the first time the two leaders met on the project site, thus strengthening the commitment of both countries on the multi-billion ringgit project. During the ceremony, Anwar and Lee also signed a plaque symbolically demonstrating the commitment of both countries to the construction of the project, which had reached a progress level of 65% as of December 31st last year and was on schedule. The RTS Link project is a commuter train network about 4 kilometers long with 2 stations, one each at Bukit Chagar and at Woodlands North, Singapore, with a capacity of up to 10,000 passengers per hour in each direction and a journey time of about 5 minutes between the 2 stations. The RTS line will provide an easy and comfortable journey between Singapore and Johor Bahru. The project, scheduled for completion in December 2026, is also expected to open a new chapter in bilateral relations between the two countries. Meanwhile, Anwar and Lee also witnessed the signing of the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone, JS says MOU, between both countries on Thursday. The MOU was formalized by Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli and Singapore Trade and Industry Minister Gan Kim Yong. In a joint statement, the Economy Ministry and Singapore's Trade and Industry Ministry said both governments will work towards inking a full-fledged agreement on the economic zone. Both governments will also explore establishing a one-stop business and investment center to handle applications for various approvals and licenses for Singaporean firms to set up shop in Johor. The JS says, which was proposed last year, is expected to improve the business ecosystems of both the Iskandar Malaysia region and Singapore. Among the sectors that the zone is targeting are electronics, financial services, business-related services, and healthcare. Last year, Johor secured 70.6 billion ringgit worth of foreign investments in various sectors. Singapore is the state's second largest foreign investor, contributing to around 70% of Johor's total foreign direct investment in the manufacturing sector. Now the government is satisfied with the work progress of the Johor Bahru Singapore RTS Link project and is confident that the transport system will be fully operational on January 1st, 2027. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the construction of the terrestrial viaduct, which was awarded on March 22nd last year, is now also in full swing and the progress has reached 31%. The station is also 41% completed, while for the construction of the Customs, Immigration and Quarantine CIQ complex building stands at 3.22%. On the RTS Link fare, Loke said it will be decided later when the project is closer to completion. He also assured that it will be competitive to ensure travelers from both countries enjoy a seamless journey. Loke added that the government also welcomes proposals from the private sector for alternative transportation links to connect Malaysia and Singapore, which would further improve connectivity between the two neighboring countries. Meanwhile, Malaysia and Singapore are also exploring ways to implement passport-free travel at their land checkpoints by using a QR code system. According to both governments, this was among the initiatives aimed at supporting the development of the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone, JS says.
The Economy Ministry and Singapore's Trade and Industry Ministry, in a joint statement, said the adoption and implementation of a passport-free QR code clearance system on both sides will facilitate a more expeditious clearance of people at land checkpoints. Also included is digitizing the process of cargo clearance at land checkpoints, as well as the facilitation of Malaysia-Singapore renewable energy cooperation to drive economic growth. In December last year, Johor Menteri Besar Dato' On Hafiz Ghazi proposed the implementation of a QR code system akin to Singapore's at the Customs, Immigration and Quarantine CIQ complex at the Sultan Iskandar building in the state capital. He said measures such as multiple entry visas, special passes and sufficient workforce from the Immigration and Customs Department were crucial towards ensuring the smooth travel of workers, visitors and merchandise between Johor and Singapore.
On another matter, Anwar has challenged the opposition to bring a motion of no confidence in the Dewan Rakyat if they want to overthrow the government. The Prime Minister said that the unity government has provided an opportunity for a no confidence vote, but the opposition has not taken up on the offer.
Dah lama dah kita bawa, dia tak bawa, setahun dah. Hari-hari kita tunggu, tak ada. Jadi kita tak ada fikir apa-apa. Saya tidak fikir dia ada kekuatan untuk bawa ini selain daripada propaganda untuk menipu penyokong-penyokong dia supaya jangan hilang semangat.
Anwar told this to reporters after a meet-and-greet session with the Prime Minister at Port of Tanjung Pelepas PTP in Iskandar Puteri, Johor on Thursday. He was commenting on the suggestion by Pasir Gudang MP Hassan Abdul Karim on Wednesday that support for a Prime Minister should be decided by a vote of confidence in the Dewan Rakyat rather than based on statutory declarations, SDs. Anwar, who is also Pakatan Harapan chairman, added that Hassan's view on a vote of no confidence is the right step for the opposition. This came amid Kedah Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi Mat Noor's recent claim that the opposition had enough SDs to take over Putrajaya. Citing the speculation surrounding the Dubai move, Anwar also stated that it has now been proven to be merely politics of anxiety among those who have lost ground. The Dubai move refers to alleged talks in the United Arab Emirates, UAE, between certain opposition leaders and government representatives to topple Anwar's administration. Moving on, Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah has urged the government to expedite the implementation of flood mitigation projects planned in Pahang. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong also emphasized the need to refrain from politicizing such efforts for the sake of the people's well-being.
Tebatan banjir yang mana telah oleh pihak yang berwajib di seluruh negeri Pahang, saya harap janganlah berpolitik dalam hal ini, seelok-eloknya secara serius dan secara urgent untuk membina tebatan-tebatan banjir di seluruh negeri Pahang.
Sultan Abdullah said this when visiting the flood victims at the Temporary Relief Center at Dewan Semai Bakti Felda Chini 1 in Pekan Pahang on Thursday. At the same time, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong also reminded the evacuees on the importance of maintaining cleanliness in temporary relief centers for their own comfort, as well as to prevent the spread of diseases. Sultan Abdullah also presented donations to the flood victims, including the family of plantation worker Muhammad Adwa Haslan, who drowned in floodwaters in Ladang Sungai Bebar Utara Nenasi last Monday.
In this brand new year, what are the new challenges that Malaysian businesses are most concerned about? In a rapidly changing global economy, what strategies should Malaysian businesses adopt to remain competitive internationally? Money Matters this week with Tan Sri So Tian Lai, President of the National Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Malaysia, at 5 p.m. this Saturday on TV3 and live HD stream on Tonton.
The Plantation and Commodities Ministry will look into more details before reviewing the rate of the windfall profit levy imposed on the palm oil industry. Its Minister, Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani, said he will meet the stakeholders to hear their concerns.
They say windfall tax is 3,000. If a CPO 3,000 and above, there will be a windfall tax. But they told us that now cost has gone up. You know, dulu kita buat tanam kelapa sawit ni 1,800, 1,500 dia punya cost. Sekarang cost ni almost mencecah 3,000. 2,800, 3,000. You know, at certain area even more than 3,000.
He said this to the media after delivering his keynote address at the Palm Oil Economic Review and Outlook Seminar 2024 on Thursday. He added in light of the current heightened costs, adjustments are deemed necessary, adding that the ministry will conduct a more thorough examination. The minister also proposed the introduction of a technical vocational and education training TVET program for oil palm harvesters. Kedah Menteri Besar Datuk Seri Muhammad Sanusi Mat Noor has given his statement at the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC headquarters in Putrajaya on Thursday. It was part of an ongoing investigation into a 6 million ringgit graft case involving the Kedah Football Association KFA. The MB was seen entering the compound of the premises at 8:30 a.m. and left about 3 hours later without stopping for the media. MACC Investigation Division Senior Director Datuk Sri Hishamuddin Hashim confirmed that Sanusi was summoned to assist in the investigation related to the solicitation and acceptance of bribes exceeding 6 million ringgit in 2020. He added that the MACC is currently in the final stages of its investigation, but Hishamuddin stressed that the details would remain confidential due to the sensitive nature of the probe. Previously, Kedah FA Vice President Radhi Mat Din confirmed that its CEO, Zulkifli Cik Harun, was among 4 men detained in connection with the corruption case. The 6 million ringgit was reportedly given as a kickback to allow a company owner to obtain a tender to build a racetrack and another project to operate and maintain 5 water reservoir plants in the state. More than a dozen dead after major rioting and looting in Papua New Guinea. News from the Foreign Front when we return.
Projek mimpi saya
Projek mimpi saya
nak sambung belajar.
nak ada kilang sambal.
nak melancong.
Projek mimpi saya nak kembangkan bisnes.
Projek mimpi saya nak miliki suria.
Terima kasih atas penyertaan rakyat Malaysia dalam projek mimpi. Bermacam-macam jenis impian dan aspirasi rakyat Malaysia yang telah dikongsikan dan akhirnya kami sudah memilih seorang pemenang. Saksikan keputusan pemenang projek mimpi di semua media sosial dan laman sesawang Sirap Rimau. Projek mimpi, kongsi impian, cipta inspirasi.
Jangan pandang ringan dan mudah. Anggap batuk awak ini serius. Woods ubat batuk dengan rasa pudina. Memberi sensasi kelegaan di kerongkong. Berkesan melegakan batuk. Woods, ubat batuk yang saya percaya.
Masanya sudah tiba. Aslinda, kau milik.
Saya nak jumpa Ustaz Azlan. Boleh bagi nombor dia?
Kau tak kafar!
We're back with the foreign front. Papua New Guinea's Prime Minister pledged to crack down on lawlessness on Thursday, following riots in which 15 people were killed as angry crowds torched buildings and ransacked shops. James Marape also announced that more than 1,000 troops were on standby to step in wherever necessary. He added that the worst of the riots had subsided by Thursday morning, but conceded that parts of the capital are still tense. Angry crowds then torched buildings and ransacked shops on Wednesday evening during a night of turmoil that soon spread 300 kilometers north to the city of Leh. Now, the country's unrest was triggered after police and other public servants discovered that their wages had been reduced by up to 50% in their latest paychecks and staged a protest. Taiwan's Foreign Minister Joseph Wu condemned China for alleged intimidation and interference in the island's elections, criticizing Beijing for meddling and intimidating the Taiwanese people. In a statement on Thursday, Wu said that the elections are in the international spotlight and China's repeated interference diverts attention. He also urged Beijing to stop interfering in other countries' elections and focus on its own. The statement comes in response to warnings from China and Taiwan's largest opposition party about the potential threat to regional peace if Vice President Lai Ching-te, a presidential hopeful from the Democratic Progressive Party (DPP), is elected. Taiwan is holding presidential and parliamentary elections on Saturday, an event that is being closely watched globally due to geopolitical tensions. Former South Korean Prime Minister Lee Nak-yeon on Thursday officially announced that he is leaving the main opposition party and would launch a new party of his own with a mission to reform the Korean political landscape. Lee's plan to launch a new party aims to challenge the domination of the two leading parties in parliament in the run-up to an election on April 10th. He stressed the need for both future and current leaders of new political parties to join hands to change the current state of the political landscape that is dominated by the two parties. Lee, however, did not provide further details on his new party, but analysts expect it to join forces with two other former prime ministers from the Democratic Party and several incumbent lawmakers. They added that Lee's new party could potentially undercut the Democratic Party's majority at April's parliamentary election, which would have policy implications for the remainder of Yoon's term. The Democratic Party has a majority in parliament, but has seen growing fissures, with some members seeking to unseat leader Lee Jae-myung, accusing him of abuse of power. Only 2 men's doubles pairs left standing for Malaysia. Sports after this breather.
Projek mimpi saya
Projek mimpi saya
Nak sambung belajar.
nak ada kilang sambal.
nak melancong.
Projek mimpi saya nak kembangkan bisnes.
Projek mimpi saya nak miliki zuriat.
Terima kasih atas penyertaan rakyat Malaysia dalam projek mimpi. Bermacam-macam jenis impian dan aspirasi rakyat Malaysia yang telah dikongsikan dan akhirnya kami sudah memilih seorang pemenang. Saksikan keputusan pemenang projek mimpi di semua media sosial dan laman sesawang Sirap Rimau.
Projek Mimpi, kongsi impian, cipta inspirasi.
Suara kita sentiasa mengiringi setiap gerak pukulan mereka. Tidak kira di kala jatuh atau berdiri. Laungan demi laungan, sorakan gemuruh peminat. Menjadi pembakar semangat. Juara yang bakal diangkat. Ayo kita satukan suara. Julangkan juara kita. Dan gemilangkan lagi sukan badminton negara.
Alif Sata. Ada twist dia kat ujung nanti kan.
Menyeramkan.
Yes, dia memang seram. Saya banyak kali ambil yang bekas popcorn tu tutup mata.
Mengerikan sangat-sangat. Jump scare all the time.
Sentuhan ni masih ada, berbisa lagi.
Saya bagi 10++.
10. No, 110. Memang sangat-sangat best. Tak ada bosan langsung.
Kalau 10, saya bagi dia 7.
7/10.
8/10.
We begin sports with badminton, the 2024 Malaysia Open. Former world champions Aaron Chia So Woo Yik smashed their way into the quarterfinals after beating compatriots Go Zifei Nur Izzuddin Rumsani on Thursday. The world number 4 made short work of teammates Zifei Izzuddin 21-15, 21-16 in just 37 minutes. Aaron Woo Yik, who have only gone as far as the semi-finals in 2022, will take on reigning world champions and current world number 3 Kang Min-hyuk So Seong-jae of South Korea next. Earlier, independent pair Ong Yu-sin Teo Yi stunned the Asiata Arena after defeating Denmark's Kim Astrup and Anders Skarup Rasmussen. World number 12 Yu-sin Yi converted their 5th match point to seal the nail-biting contest 21-10, 11-21, 24-22, reaching their 3rd consecutive last 8 appearance in the tournament. The national duo will next face Japan's Takuro Hoki Yugo Kobayashi for a chance to advance into the Final Four. Meanwhile, it was the end of the road for Go Jinwei, Chen Tangji To Iwei, Go Soon Huat Siobhan Lai, and Chen Peng Sun Shen Si in the competition. In the women's singles event, Jinwei was knocked out in straight sets 15-21, 22-24 by Indonesia's Gregoria Mariska Tunjung. Mixed doubles world number 9 Tang Ji Iwei were a big disappointment as they failed to live up to their status as 8 seeds, succumbing to a 22-24, 14-21 defeat to Hiroki Midorikawa Natsu Saito of Japan. Sun Huat Siobhan were also shown the exit after losing 15-21, 12-21 against Thailand's Dishapo Pavaranukro Sapsiri Tairatanachai, while another pair, Peng Sun Yisi, were eliminated by China's Jiang Zhen Bang Weiyajin 14-21, 14-21. Up next, mobile phone shop worker accused of killing employer.
Tayangan 10 malam pastinya menembusi imajinasi, mengundang misteri dan menghidupkan aksi. Anak Perjanjian Syaitan, 5 Januari.
Anak yang kau kandung tu, anak benda syaitan kau tahu tak?
Too Fast, Too Furious, 12 Januari.
I want to keep your eyes on the road, Playboy.
Fast and Furious, 19 Januari.
I didn't know there were any rules.
The Thieves, 26 Januari.
Ready, action!
Melangkah ke aras baru 2024 bersama kami. TV3 sentiasa bersamamu.
Money Matters is back with a new season. Your key insights into finance, Money Matters. Every Saturday, 5 p.m. Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Tahun baharu, kita pun kena ada misi baharu. Belajar memandu ikut had.
Keep your eyes on the road, playboy.
Bercinta biar satu.
What are you doing, Brian? You got that from me.
Kelajuan boleh dua. Too Fast, Too Furious memecut Jumaat ini 10 malam di TV3 Cinema dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Thanks for staying with us. In Perak, a mobile phone accessories shop worker was accused in the Ipoh Magistrates Court on Thursday for killing his employer last week. 54-year-old Yap Kok Ming only nodded in understanding and no plea was recorded when the charge was read out to him before Magistrate Siti Nora Sharif, as the case is under the jurisdiction of the High Court. He is accused of killing 49-year-old Lee Siu Lian at a mobile phone accessories shop in Taman Rasi Jaya, Menglembu, between 10 a.m. and noon on January 4th. The charges are according to the Penal Code, which provides death penalty or imprisonment for the minimum of 30 years, but not more than 40 years. If not sentenced to death, a minimum of 12 strokes of the cane is mandated upon conviction. The court fixed March 6th for case remention, pending the autopsy report. The incident was previously reported as stemming from a disagreement over financial problems, resulting in the stabbing death of the shop owner. In Sabah, police successfully foiled an attempt by 3 men to smuggle out more than 20 kilograms of drugs believed to be Shabu, worth nearly 1 million ringgit, to a neighboring country. Semporna Police Chief Superintendent Muhammad Farhan Lee Abdullah said acting on a public tip-off, a joint team from Bumbum Police Station and Semporna Narcotics Crime Investigation Division and CID arrested the suspects at the Semporna Public Jetty on January 3rd.
In the 6:30 a.m. operation, authorities spotted 2 local men and a foreigner on board a boat approaching the jetty. They then docked the boat at the rocky bank next to the jetty, and one of them went ashore before returning with 2 bags. The trio then tried to escape after noticing the presence of the police, but failed. Checks on the 2 bags revealed 20 black plastic packages containing Shabu with a total weight of over 20 kilograms. It is believed that the suspects attempted to avoid detection by using the public jetty early in the morning, as the location is busy with tourists and locals during the day. All 3 suspects, aged 36 to 38, also tested positive for Shabu and have been remanded for further investigation under the Dangerous Drugs Act.
And that concludes Nightline this time around. Let's take a look as the son of Sultan of Brunei, Prince Abdul Matin Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah, marries his fiancée, Yang Mulia Anisha Rosna, on Thursday. The wedding ceremony was part of a lavish 10-day celebration scheduled to celebrate the newlywed couple. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for tuning in and stay safe, Malaysia.